Come in.
Mrs. Boyd?
Yes.
Hi, Alison MARTIN from Indy
Alison.
Marriott.
Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too. Can I have a seat?
Please do.
Thank you. So I passed by the Johnson complex and they fenced it all up. What's going on there?
They're going to do renovations this summer.
Oh, they're starting this summer?
They are starting this summer, and they put the fence up before graduation. I wish they could have waited just one more week just because of all the visitors coming on campus. But you know what? Timetables for construction, you just have to do what you have to do. So
Yeah.
they're just doing their jobs.
Yeah. Are you going to be here this summer?
I will be here all summer long.
Hopefully it won't make too much noise for you.
Oh, you know, the year they put the geothermal system in, and so our parking lot on the other side of the building was torn up for that year. That was noisy, that was messy, and it was muddy. So this won't be anything in comparison to that.
Good. Well, today I'm going to learn a bit more about you and your role in Ball State, and then I understood you would like to have a dinner organized for you. Is that right?
Exactly right.
Okay, so if maybe there's a fit with Marriott, we can figure out something together.
That would be great.
Okay, so how long have you been in Muncie?
I've been here since 1990, so more than 20 years now.
Were you born and bred in Muncie then?
No, I'm from Indiana. I went to school in Terre Haute, and a position came available here in Muncie, and the unit that I was a part of at Indiana State University interacted with many of the staff members here, and I always thought they were so incredible, the kinds of things that they were doing, and a position became available, and I said, I'm going to jump at that chance. That was 1990. That was a long time ago.
So before coming to Ball State, you were also in the business development in Indiana?
I was in a unit at Indiana State University called the Center for Research and Management Services.
Okay. So we're
very
doing the
similar,
same thing?
very similar types of work. We did a little more on the helping small businesses get started, because we had a small business development center there, and we don't have a similar unit here at Ball State. So I do less of that here than I did at ISU, but for the most part it's customized training, contract consulting, finding ways to get the university resources out to the business community. So the work is very similar, but Ball State had a greater reputation and a greater statewide coverage than Indiana State
In the business development, Ball State has a better reputation?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
Oh,
Someone
no,
told
we
me
have-
that Indiana State had a better reputation when it came to business, but so that's wrong.
Indiana State University?
Yeah.
Well, the kind of work that I'm talking about here, they have, the staff was smaller, not that we weren't doing great things there, but it was more regionally focused.
Oh.
Here at Ball State, we have more of a statewide coverage and a focus to make sure that we're all over the state of Indiana. In fact, President Gora has often referred to the kind of work that we do. We're the feet on the ground throughout the state of Indiana. We don't have branch campuses, we don't have other satellite offices, but we have lots of folks who travel out themselves and with their students to provide resources. So this office helps to make those connections, coordinate those activities. We can help the faculty with some of the background coordination of those things so that they can just go do what they do best, be subject matter experts into their area, and they don't have to worry about the logistics or the contracting or making sure the materials are prepped or the rooms are laid out in the correct way. So
That sounds like a lot of work.
It's a great opportunity, and I never regret for a minute.
So when it comes to the dinner you want to do, are you the only one planning this event, or are they other people who need to be involved?
That's a good question. There's a committee that has been assigned. The dinner is part of a larger event. On September 20th, we're having a conference called the Primacy of Place Conference. And what we would like to do the night before the conference is have the keynote speaker, as well as a select number of Ball State invited guests, and a few of the folks who have helped us sponsor the conference, have a special event with the keynote speaker as a way to thank those folks who have been a part of the planning and the implementation of this event. So I think the evening, the night before, in terms of total numbers of people, I would like to see that group not be any larger than 15. If it is, then we start to lose the specialness of
Yeah,
time
if it's a
with
larger
that
group,
keynote.
then
So I think 15 would be the maximum number of folks. I think a lot of this is still just in the initial planning stages, but in terms of timeframes that we're thinking about now, we're thinking that we would like to have folks gather about 6 o'clock and maybe have cocktails or so, some opportunity to just mill around and make sure that everyone gets there, and then not have dinner served until about 7 o'clock. Is that a possibility?
That is totally possible. So if I understood correctly, you would have the dinner before the conference on the 19th.
On the 19th. Mm-hmm.
And would the conference be in Indianapolis too?
It is. It's at the JW Marriott.
Oh, it's actually in. Okay, so are you getting hotel rooms at the end of the night, or are you going your own?
No, I think there's another part of the team that's working to book that kind of space.
Okay, but you're
and
focusing
to book the rooms.
on the
dinner. They
dinner.
just asked me to work on the dinner because their hands are full
Yeah,
with the other parts of this.
I bet.
But I think the dinner is something that they thought I could handle.
I'm sure. So around 7 o'clock, when the dinner will start, that's perfectly fine. And 6 o'clock, the guests would start arriving. Do you not have a fixed idea of the number of people that are going to be there yet?
No, I don't
not
really
more
know.
than 15.
Not more than 15 would be. I just want to cap it at 15. So as we're thinking about who would we invite to be a part of this, we'll need to put together a list, and we'll need to then prioritize that list and put 15 as the cap.
So it's going to be more of a restrictive private event.
I think so.
So did you have any idea about the atmosphere you would want with the dinner, or?
Well, I don't think that I want it to be something that would take away from the keynote. And we're hoping to have Ethan Kent, who's with an organization called Project for Public Spaces. We're working on confirming him. So I want the event to be in such a way that this is the focus, that it's about the conversation, it's about the event, the next day, the Primacy of Place conference, about time to pick Ethan's brain and talk to him about what his organization does, to share with him some of the special things that we have going on here in the state of Indiana, to share business cards, to talk about this, to get excited, because these will all be like-minded people. So the content, I think, is what we want the focus to be. So I'm not too worried about a theme, because the program and the conference should be the theme. So I don't want anything that would detract from the intimate nature of the group. So I don't want a lot of loud music or anything that will take away. So what I'm envisioning at this point is something that there would be time and place for people to mill around and discuss, and in small groups and with Ethan have conversations, maybe over cocktails. Alcohol seems to be kind of an expectation at that time of the day for something like this. And then moving into the dinner format that would have the room set up in such a way that allows for good conversation and good flow, and for everyone to be able to feel.
So maybe
like
a round table?
If that's possible,
It
with a
is
group
possible.
of 15, okay.
Okay, so you want really a more of a private setting with not too much noise, or?
I don't.
Okay.
And I would like it to be in a confined space, if possible, so that they can talk about things and share and feel that the specialness of having time with Ethan and having time with one another.
Okay, so just to sum up, it would be September 19th with a maximum of 15 people. So arriving around 6 o'clock, have a little table with cocktails, maybe a few appetizers, and then moving on to the dinner around 7.
Right.
When it comes to the dinner, did you have anything in mind when it comes to food?
I really don't.
No?
I know I'm not very good at that sort of thing. So if
Okay.
you have some recommendations, that would be great.
Okay, something more light than heavy, as we're going to be speaking at the same time and getting to know each other, or?
Let's talk about some
Okay,
options. I
so-
think maybe I'll know it when I see it. So.
You said you wanted a more private and quiet space. Well, we have 2 restaurants in Indy, but the most appropriate for your event would be Osteria Pronto, which is an Italian restaurant. So you have a selection of pasta or salads, or basically anything you would like.
Okay.
We have a top master chef that can also tweak a little bit the menu if needed. So what would you want to do food-wise? There are different options quantity-wise.
Okay.
If you want a 3-course meal or more, or you can also have a selection of antipasti, which is little plates of different type of appetizers. They can be little bruschettas, which is toasted bread with tomato sauce and garlic, and it's delicious. Or if you want a more longer meal, there is so you have the antipasti that maybe can come at the same time as your cocktails at the beginning.
That sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. And then when to the table we have you can choose a salad, an entry, and then a dessert.
Okay.
Or you can have more if you know you have a lot of big eaters with you at the conference.
Oh, I don't know very much about these folks, but my sense is that something in this range will probably meet our needs pretty well.
I'm sure, because it is also really quite large portions. It's Italian food style, so they like having a lot of food served to you. That's the spirit of Italian food. So you don't need to choose now, but just to have an idea, you would go for more of this type of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at what point then will we have to make a final decision on which of these choices we want?
Oh, you can choose when at the dinner, when everybody is here and everybody can.
Oh, it's all of this.
Yeah.
And then it's passed sort of family style.
It is family style. So it's in like big
right
bowls and you pass it around. It's really.
Oh, that's fabulous. That'll work out because that gives to this sense that it's a special event.
Yeah, and it's sort of make it more private.
Okay.
Exactly.
I like it.
Exactly. So this is what we would go for.
Okay.
Then.
Sounds great. And then the appetizers will come, as you said, with the cocktails.
We can do that.
I think that's a good way to approach that.
I think so too. It's when people are arriving, it's nice to have the little appetizers on the table to get things started up.
Okay.
Okay, so I will put you down for this type of course, if that sounds good.
Sounds perfect. And they'll just be perfect for our group.
Okay. So when it comes to pricing, as it's written here, it's going to be $50 per person, but that's only for the food. And we have, for the amount of people you're going to have, it's $650 minimum food and beverage.
Okay.
So it, depending on the number of persons you're going to have, it divides the amount per person.
All right.
Does that sound good to you?
I think that'll work fine. We'll want to make sure that everything can be directly billed to the university. Either we need to pay up, or do we have to pay a portion up front, or will all just be billed after the event?
Reserve the place in the hotel dining room, you need we need a credit card on file to reserve the spot.
Okay, we can do that.
And it's $20 for the reservation to keep the spot.
Okay, that's great, not a problem.
Okay.
And then afterwards, the total bill will be billed to that credit card, or you'll submit an invoice to us?
As you wish. If you prefer having it billed to Ball State University, I understand that's what you want to do.
I think that will work better based on some of the other things that we're doing if we can have that bill. So before the time comes, we'll need to set you all up, if we haven't already done this, make sure that you're set up as a vendor so that you can then directly bill us and we can process the paperwork.
Okay, that sounds good. So Ball State would be where we bill. And when it comes to location, I see the date is 19th, so it's in a while. So you have more or less all of the seating that is available. We have 2 different private rooms. I understood you wanted more of a private setting. So there is the wine room, which is a maximum of 16 guests that we can have in there. So I understand.
Perfect. We're right in the maximum.
Yeah, and it's it's in there, and there's glass walls with wine stacked up on there, so which give an intimate but yet open type of space.
Okay.
The only down point, you said you didn't really want any disturbance. It's true that it may happen that servers need to come and get wine from, because it's literally a wine cellar. But if that's a problem, there's also another room called the Marcia room, which is a bit bigger, but there's not the advantage of having glass doors, which makes it a little bit more open.
Okay.
Nevertheless, it's a beautiful room too. It looks a bit in the same style as this picture. So if you do not want having any disturbance with service coming in, I think we would probably go for the bigger room.
What's the maximum on this room?
30.
Okay.
So it's a larger space, and if ever there's room for another few more guests, if ever that happens.
But it also would allow us to have the room set up in such a way that they could have cocktails and the appetizers at one end of the room,
Yeah.
and then have.
Would that be something you want to do? So have separate
Yes.
place for the
so that they
cocktails?
can mill around and
Mhm.
chat and talk, and people can sort of come into the space and then be seated for dinner. So I think that's a better choice for us.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so just to sum up, we're gonna have the master room for maximum 15 people, but it can be a few more if ever.
Tell me about this. At what point will we have to confirm? So if we say, oh gosh, we just can't make a choice, we can't make a choice to cut some of these folks off. We may want more than 15. At what point do we have to make that? What's our deadline?
10 days prior.
10 days, okay.
Yeah, 10 days prior, we have to have everything set up for you.
Okay.
So until then, we're down for master room on the 19th, a maximum of 15 people.
Okay.
So 6 o'clock arriving, antipasti are going to be on the table with cocktails. Do you want to there's going to be a selection of cocktails already there, or do you want particular cocktails, particular sets of wine?
Bartender, how will this work? What are some of my options there?
You could have, yes, you could have a bartender come. It's going to be a little bit more an expense
Sure.
more.
Okay.
But there's something that we can do.
Okay. Or could we have a selection of wines?
Yes.
So that then folks could
If
have
you
a glass of wine. Can
Mhm.
they pour wine themselves?
Yes.
So we have some left there for
Yeah.
us to take care of. That might be an option for us. Talk to me about the pros and cons of both of those options. Certainly price is one because we
Well,
want to
yes,
pay for it.
if you want a bartender, there's going to be the price. But otherwise, I think it's really like family style. If the wine is already on the table, you can look at them, choose them, smell them, and it can be a bit more of a family style type of environment.
Okay.
But it's not that much more if we have someone look after you personally.
Okay. So if we had a selection of wines and someone said,
Mhm.
I'm just not a wine person, I really want a beer, or I want a mixed drink.
Oh, we could have
If you-
someone give them their drink that they want
Oh,
without
okay,
a
so
problem.
we could have someone come in
Of
and take
course.
drink orders if this isn't
Yes.
what works for them. Okay, well, let's do that. I like the idea of being able to serve themselves, and it just adds to the atmosphere
Yeah.
of the evening.
Okay, so we're gonna have the table with a selection of wines. Would you like to have our sommelier look after it, or do you want to choose them yourself?
Let someone else do that. for
Yeah,
us. Yes,
okay,
please.
yeah, we have a professional that chooses wine.
That's perfect.
So we could have a selection chosen for you. How many would you like? If you're 15, would you want half, 6, 7?
Yeah, I'm going to look to you for what would be the best.
Well,
What would you think there? I just don't have
It depends
any
if
idea.
you're large drinkers or not, I guess.
Well, we need to make them not large drinkers, so let's make
Yeah.
them moderate drinkers. What
And
would
then
be-
if ever, I mean, we can add them on.
Okay.
We can have maybe a selection of 5 already on the table, and if ever everybody has drank a lot, then we can add them on.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, so 5 already on the table with the antipasti, and then set up a round table for the dinner.
Mhm.
That will start around 7. Okay, so I have a type contract that I can leave with you that you can go through and read, and then if you can contact me back whenever you're ready to sign. I'll be around Muncie for the rest of the weeks.
Okay.
For the rest of 2 weeks. So I'll be here without a problem. I can come back in and pick it up, or if ever you have any other questions, you can contact me
Okay.
whenever.
Well, I think we need to make some decisions on this just so that we can get on to some other things.
Mhm.
If we're ready by Monday, if I have everything ready on my end by Monday, does that work for you? If we
That
have a
works
signed-
for me.
Signed agreement by that
Mhm.
point? Okay.
And I will leave you with this if ever you want to have a further look in our menus
Okay.
and our wines. If ever you see wine that you particularly want, we can do that too.
Okay, well, this will be beneficial so they can share with the rest of
Yeah.
the staff what we've selected. If
Mhm.
folks have questions or if someone has a recommendation for something we haven't talked about, we can take that into consideration before we finalize the contract.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time.
It was nice meeting you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming by.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.